Welcome to Evalasting Peace, where we discuss eternal love and eternal grief and all things related to trying to conceive, prenatal diagnosis, infertility, pregnancy, baby loss, and connecting in the afterlife. I'm Lori, the mother of Eva, and today we are going to just touch the tip of the iceberg when it comes to spirit baby. Now, this is a term that I know is being used a bit more and understood a bit more than it was when I was first starting this journey in 2017. You can now find a lot of more information on YouTube and Instagram about this topic. But we were about 2.5 years into our infertility, trying to conceive journey. And I was just kind of at the end of my rope. I was doing all things right. I was eating right. I was practicing yoga. I was moving. I was meditating. I was, being sure not to drink too much. Really taking care of myself, and we just weren't getting pregnant. So I now know that we can do all the things and still struggle with trying to conceive. And if you are struggling, it can be frustrating to see people just easily becoming pregnant, not taking care of themselves, and having no struggle at all. And I have learned that it is more than our physical body that calls these children in. And when we were, like I said, 2.5 years in to this conception journey, my friend Lucy, who's amazing, was just scrolling through Amazon one day looking for books for her own connection to spirit, revolving around her child, Nathan, who lived a few short days. And she came across this book and just knew that she had to purchase it for me. So she handed it to me, and I was like, oh, okay. Here's the book right here, Spirit Babies. If you know anything about spirit babies, you probably know this book. The author's name is Walter Makitchen. I was sad to learn that he had already passed away by the time I got my hands on this book. But I'll share at the end of the video a couple of resources of spirit baby intuitives, spirit baby mediums that I just found super helpful during my journey. So I just dove into this book, and it really made a lot of sense for me, and it really opened me up to this whole different understanding of this conception journey that I had been on. The premise, just very briefly, is that our children are surrounding us before we conceive them. They can be surrounding us for many, many years. There's a soul contract that we make before we even come into this lifetime. We chose our parents, and there's many different reasons for that are personal for each individual and spirit on this journey. There are things that we gain from these children that are born to us. There's things that they gain. Maybe we've lived different lifetimes together, and we're completing soul contracts there, or karmic processing, or leveling up. I'll touch on this more in separate videos, but the main premise of this book is how to communicate, the subtitle, with the child you're meant to have. And so I just devoured it, and I started doing the meditations and the chants and the rituals, and I took it very seriously. I have this journal that I had started using. It's pretty thick. Just a silly on clearance journal. And the first entry in it is when we became pregnant with our second child in 2015 that ended in a miscarriage at 6 weeks. So you'll see the joy in the beginning of this journal of finding out that we're pregnant, and then it just goes into my grief over miscarriage and trying to conceive, and the joy of Eva coming, and then her diagnosis and death. And so this book just holds all of my infertility and grief, and it's quite a record of what we went through. So when I started doing these rituals that Walter Makitchen suggests in Spirit Baby, look, I even started a chapter here called Chapter 2, Spirit Baby Communication. So all of this communication with Eva was documented And on February 16th, 2017, I wrote, a little girl about Max's age, who's my older son, so he would have been 6 at the time, came up from behind me and wrapped her arms around my neck. She had pigtails and looked underlined a lot like me at that time, or at that age. She was giddy and smiling. As I started to cry, the message came, quote, I've loved you for lifetimes. I feel so good and right now. I feel so good right now. So I had some understanding of spirit, and I'd been on a yoga journey and had seen amazing things in meditation, but this was really the first definite connection I had had with another soul, another spirit, from the other realm. And it was super powerful. I went to my girlfriend and told her right away. She said, were you high? If you watch any of my other videos, you'll know that I did smoke marijuana at this time. But I wasn't. It was early in the morning. And he suggests that you do these consistently. So I was getting up at the same time, rolling on my yoga mat, doing these chants, these meditations, these rituals. So the very next day, February 17th, I guess that's not the one. I did have some connection there, but it was February 18th that I did something called the conception cradle. So there is this idea of conscious conception, that we make this connection with these spirits, the parents to be, and in this particular meditation, my husband was not there physically, but I brought him into this through my mind's eye. And I'll read what I wrote that day. Today, when I was focusing on the conception cradle, there was the same girl from the first time encircling it with Joe and I. When I added the moon, which is supposed to be like a symbol of what's to come, she hopped right in and sat cross-legged, sensing she has been waiting for contact with me, and now feels confident for conception. So, quite honestly, I know the day we became pregnant with Eva. I keep a log of my menstrual cycles, and when you're trying to conceive, you keep crazy logs, right? So I was documenting every time we were intimate, and the time that we conceived Eva, it was a shaking experience that I felt in the moment. And all of this I reflect on to know what came to be. In the moment of writing these, I was not confident solely or trusting in all of this yet. It had to actually happen for then me to realize, oh my goodness, this was all true. This was all right. This was all happening. So come to find out, I conceived her right on the day in between these two really powerful meditations I had with her, which I find amazing. And building this connection with Eva at this time, prior to conception, during conception, she really wanted this so that we could connect and communicate during pregnancy, but most importantly, after she died, so that we can connect now, 4 years later, so that I can share this kind of information with you and other parents who want to know if their child lives on. I absolutely know that my daughter lives on. I have connection with her all the time. We communicate very easily now, and it all started back in the very beginning, right as she's being conceived. I don't believe Eva would have come into body until I had this understanding. The nudge that my friend Lucy had to purchase this book for me was, she's very intuitive, and it was necessary for our conception journey of Eva. I believe that Eva came into body the first time during my miscarriage. I think that was her kind of awakening me. That was really a big awakening for me, even though it was huge heartbreak and grief. I started having a deeper understanding then, and then this book just opened me up to so much. So I want to just kind of leave that right here for today. My mentor, Kelly Meehan, who is a spirit baby medium, you can find her on Instagram, and I'll leave her information below. Facebook, she has an amazing podcast. She does private sessions, and it was the podcast that I was really listening to that was giving me so much deeper understanding, deeper than even Walter Makitchen's book, about different things like miscarriage, because his book is a lot about the life before life. So what about the life after life? And Kelly has kind of coined a term called light children that we use to describe children in the afterlife. I co-lead a Facebook group called The Afterlife of Spirit Baby with Kelly, and I'll leave that link below too. It's for people who want to have a deeper understanding of spirit baby light children after they have lost a child due to miscarriage, stillbirth, or baby loss. So it's just kind of our place to share our grief, but also our connection, our signs, our messages, to really be in a safe place to share what is sometimes thought of as woo-woo and out there. But for those of us who have experienced these profound moments with our children in the spirit world, it is real. And the more that you tap into this, the more trust you build. And it was me writing in this journal and documenting all of these moments that I had with Eva before and during pregnancy that just built my trust so that I can have full faith that she's still here. And this is what she wants for us. This is our journey together. Our journey is to help grieving parents know that their child is still with them. They love them. They want them happy. They want them to be exploring this sort of communication. I've had other people's children come to me to share little messages, and there really was no greater comfort than knowing that Eva lives on after she had died, because let me tell you, this knowledge did not negate my grief. That was there, and it was deep, and it still is. But having these moments with my daughter after death is what carried me through. Her messages of love for me, they were everything. So that's just the very beginning of mine and Eva's journey in connection on a soul level and our work together. Feel free to reach out. I'm on Instagram. I'll share my email. I will share all this in the notes below. And yeah, don't hesitate. Join the Facebook group if it resonates with you. And I'll be here to share more about Spirit Baby and light children in the weeks to come. Peace to you.